Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. As you all know, every episode of this podcast finishes with an outro guy saying, technology works best when it brings people together. And that has always been the motto of this show. But more recently, I've been thinking, maybe when I very first launched this podcast, maybe I wasn't thinking big enough, because bringing people closer together is cool, don't get me wrong, but what about changing lives? So today I want to talk about CGM. Anybody know what that stands for? Congratulations, sir, you in the white t-shirt at the back. It is indeed continuous glucose monitoring. And if you're diabetic or have a friend or a family member with it, you'll know how these unsung heroes take a blood sample every day from a pinprick on their finger to monitor their blood sugar. And they do it without complaint, day in, day out. But what if technology could, excuse the pun here, I can't help myself, remove that pain point entirely? And this is exactly what Dexcom are doing by allowing a wireless sensor to send that information directly to a smartphone and ultimately retire the need for pinpricks. So Jake Leach, he's the CTO at Dexcom, and he's currently on a trip to Berlin. So while he's in roughly the same time zone, I hooked up with him to learn more about how Dexcom is using tech to make lives better and even save them. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Berlin so we can speak with Jake Leach, CTO at Dexcom. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Jake. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Neil. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Jake Leach. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for a company called Dexcom, which is a product technology innovation company. We produce a product for people to monitor their blood sugar. It's a product that's used by people with diabetes, and it gives them critical information about their blood sugar so they can make decisions daily about how they need to manage their disease.
And like you said, Dexcom is a leader in the continuous glucose monitoring for people with diabetes. But for people listening or just hearing about you guys for the first time, can you just tell me a little bit more about the very real problems that you solve for people? And also what makes you guys a little bit different from all the other solutions out there?
Sure, of course. So the challenge with diabetes is that folks suffer from glucose issues where they have to manage their blood sugar all the time. Every time they eat a meal, they have to consider how that meal is going to affect their blood sugar and then make a decision about how much insulin to take. If they have type 1 or with type 2, they are often on insulin or on some sort of medication. What the Dexcom technology does is it's a body-worn sensor that's constantly measuring the blood sugar. The difference between Dexcom and other technologies is historically, years ago, folks would need to take out a device called a lancet, prick their finger, squeeze out a drop of blood, and then place that blood on a meter that would measure, give you a 1-point measurement. And while helpful, it doesn't give you the entire picture because it tells you what your blood sugar is, but it does not tell you how your blood sugar is changing, if it's rising, if it's falling. Very important information to know when you're about to make a treatment decision, such as injecting yourself with insulin. Folks with diabetes, particularly type 1, have to inject themselves with insulin because their body doesn't make insulin itself. What that insulin does is it reduces the blood sugar. So it's this constant back and forth of what's my blood sugar and how do I need to treat it. And with the Dexcom technology, it's continuous glucose sensing. So every 5 minutes, 24 hours a day, the system is measuring blood sugar and giving that information to the user either through their smartphone, smartwatch, or a small dedicated display. So it really helps them manage their disease.
I'm glad you offered that background there, because for myself listening, and I suspect a lot of people listening too, when it comes to understanding the issues faced by diabetics, it's that need to prick their finger when managing their condition. I think that's the vision that most people have. Do a lot of people not even realise that there's this wireless way of doing it now? And what kind of feedback have you received from your customers on that?
CGM has been around as a technology category for about 15 years. Dexcom's first product was 2006 is when we launched it, and we've continuously iterated it. The The wireless body-worn patch is an extremely convenient and discreet way to measure blood sugar. So our patients really enjoy first of all, they enjoy the information. So they get that continuous stream of data that really gives them more insight into how their blood sugar is changing. But it's also extremely discreet. They're not pulling a device out. They're not taking a blood measurement. They don't have to remember to carry around that meter device. So it's extremely convenient on top of giving you that extra information.
Now, the system also has built-in alerts and alarms that proactively notify patients and their family and friends before blood glucose reaches those potentially dangerous levels. I mean, this technology, to me, I'm on the outside looking in, feels quite revolutionary, and I love how wearable tech is also involved in bringing normality back to the lives of diabetics. Is that word getting out now about how the technology combined with smartphones and wearables can actually change their lives, or do you still need to amplify that message that this tech is available right now and not just something in the future?
It's the awareness of CGM is and Dexcom CGM is continuing to grow. We are currently have the product in over 30 different countries across the world, and a very large number of people are using the product. But we do continue to push the awareness, and it is available now. It's one of the very exciting innovations that Dexcom was first at doing was taking the continuous glucose monitor and connecting up to a mobile platform, to a smartphone. And what that really did is it allows significant connectivity once you have that Bluetooth connection directly to a phone. Gives you convenient ways to display the information. The alerts and alarms, as you mentioned, give the patients, it can alert them when their blood sugar is going into either a high or a low range where they need to do something about it. So it's proactive, so that they don't wait until they feel poorly. They get an advance warning with an alert that can see how their blood sugar is changing. So the patient or the user can get that information on their smartphone. But because it's on a smart connected device, that information is shared in real time with caregivers. Parents of children with type 1 diabetes can monitor their kids while the child is at school and the parent is at work, or whenever they're apart, something that wasn't available before we made this move to the mobile platform.
So how do you see technology continue to evolve and to continue to change the diabetes landscape in those months and years going forward?
There's a tremendous amount of innovation going on in the diabetes space. The first thing with diabetes is monitoring blood sugar and knowing where blood sugars are at. The second half of the innovation comes in insulin delivery and automated insulin delivery, basically taking the readings from the continuous glucose monitor in real time and making decisions for the patient on how much insulin to infuse. And so there are products out there called insulin pumps. We have partnerships with many of the leading insulin pump manufacturers where our product is communicating directly to their insulin pump. And it's, in a sense, developing an automated insulin delivery system so that patients don't have to worry as much about how much insulin to take. The system takes care of it for them. That technology is available today and is continuing to grow and advance in its features and capabilities. And I see a lot of growth there in the coming years.
And it is an incredibly exciting space to be in at the moment, but with so much at stake, I keep reading more and more stories about the rise in patent applications and lawsuits around wearable tech and the future of healthcare. Is it difficult protecting what you guys are doing from other companies that are trying to grab a slice of that pie too?
I'm glad you mentioned patents. It's a very important part of technology development in any area, but particularly in wearable tech. So from the very beginning, when the company was founded, we've had a very strong patent capture group. So as we develop the technology, we have a very strong patent portfolio to protect all of the investment and time and effort that we put into developing this technology. And so we're in a very good place there. And so it is important to protect your invention and also not to encroach on anybody else's. So it's a space that's growing, but it's an exciting place to be.
So do you think we'll see more partnerships with companies such as Fitbit and Apple Health as that smartphone in our pocket not only stores our entire life, but ultimately protects it too? It
is. Cybersecurity and the protection of data is extremely important. And that was one of the key things we recognized when transitioning from a more closed system to a mobile platform. So the technology is out there to protect that information. You just have to ensure that you utilize it. So I do think that the big players in the mobile industry have recognized that healthcare is a very important part of something that smartphone can enable and can improve and can enhance. And so I do think that you'll start to see more and more participation from handset developers, companies, just in the mobile space in general, participating in healthcare in some way.
Now, these devices can reveal so much about our bodies now, and equally what we do and how it affects us. So do you think we're heading for more of a proactive healthcare system than the traditional reactive approach where we just wait for something to go wrong before then going to see a doctor? I mean, I suppose you're already seeing that change right now, aren't you?
It's a great question, Neil. We're seeing that diabetes is the type of a disease that patients need to be empowered to manage it themselves. They see their doctor a couple times a year, at most 4 times a year. So their doctor can help them and give them advice and teach them new skills. But the reality is they need to be empowered to manage it themselves. And with the technology like continuous glucose monitoring, they get a lot of information and feedback and basically helps them learn how to treat their disease on their own and be proactive so that they have less episodes of high and low blood sugar and really live a healthier life because they have that information. And in general, when they're living a healthier life, they're going to get a better outcome. It's going to cost the healthcare system less.
So I've got to ask, I mean, what's next for Dexcom? Is there anything else that excites you about the future and how technology can actually help save lives? Is there anything else you're working on that you can share with us today?
Certainly. We are in the midst of developing our next generation technology. So currently in the market is our G6. We're in the process of developing G7, which is a continuous innovation on top of our previous technology. It's a continuous glucose monitor, but it's really aimed at helping the folks that we work with today with type 1 diabetes, but also moving into areas that we haven't been in the past, such as type 2 diabetes, pre-diabetes, hospital care. It's a very small disposable device with very high performance and accuracy that Dexcom has always been known for, but also includes lots of significant innovations in the ease of use and the cost. Lowering the cost of the technology is an important part of making it more accessible to more people that it can benefit.
So if we do have somebody with diabetes listening to this show today, or equally have a family member or a friend that are still pricking their finger several times a day, can you just remind them of where they can find you guys online and also contact a member of your team if they've just got any additional questions?
Absolutely. So we have our website, which is www.dexcom.com. That's DEXCOM.com. And you pick what country you're located in. And then there's a tab where they can go to find out more about the product and also how to get access.
Well, I always say at the end of every episode is technology works best when it brings people together, but you're actually using technology to improve people's lives day in, day out, which is a fantastic thing. So a big thank you for coming on the show today, Jake. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Neil. It was a pleasure.
Wow, what a great story. I mean, if you're a diabetic or know someone that is, are you aware of this tech? And removing the need for pinpricks and replacing with wireless sensors that automatically send those updates to your phones sounds incredibly cool to me. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, your insights, your experiences. So feel free to share this episode with anyone you think that will find it valuable. But also remind them to email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, tweet me at Neil C. Hughes, Instagram at Neil C. Hughes. Because I want to hear about their experiences, their opinions, and their attitudes towards this kind of technology that can actually prevent the need to have those daily pinpricks on their fingers. Because your feedback is so important here. It's fine, me as a non-diabetic getting excited about the latest tech solution, but it's how it affects your life day in, day out. If it makes your life easier, it's got to be a great thing. But I want to hear those stories directly from you. So keep those messages coming in. Don't forget to rate the podcast on iTunes or whatever platform you listen to. But I'm afraid I'm going to have to cut this episode a little short today because I've literally got to dash out the door in like 30 seconds to see my accountant. And as a words guy that hates numbers, These kind of trips are my idea of hell. But thankfully, they are a nice bunch. So wish me luck. I think I'm going to need it. And I'll be back tomorrow with another great guest. So thanks for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.